Meet Dante, lead demon slayer of the Devil May Cry series. His sword-slicing, gun-juggling, devil-transforming antics have made him a hero for millions of adrenaline junkies around the world, which makes Capcom's decision to replace him as lead playable character in the franchise with Nero either incredibly brave or insanely risky. This is Devil May Cry, but not exactly as we know it. Nero is very similar to Dante, sort of a younger, more brash, naive version. He has silver hair, like Dante, wields weapons with funny names, like Dante, he even fights like Dante. But there are a few key differences which combine to make Nero his own man.
Not so fast.
Chief of these is the Devil Bringer, which grants Nero's left arm a blue glow grapple hook effect, which he uses to drag himself towards enemies or drag enemies towards him. He also has special close-range grapple attacks, which are different for each enemy. These range from the spectacular and downright savage looking to the mundane, but they do help give Nero some individuality to his carnage repertoire. Dante does actually turn up as a playable character for just under a third of the game, but Nero is Devil May Cry 4's central character. For newcomers to the series it may be less of an issue, but for serious die-hard Devil May Cry fans, this is like dropping Snake from Metal Gear Solid 2.
I guess this doesn't quite cut it.
Devil May Cry 4's plot, bafflingly Japanese as it is, revolves around Nero's love for Kyrie, a damsel in distress in every sense of the word. The game opens with Dante's assassination of Sanctus, the head of the corrupt Order of the Sword religious cult. Then, in the chaos, demons attack. Eventually, when the dust settles, Nero is sent to sort out Dante. He eventually uncovers some dirt within the Order itself, Kyrie is captured, and as you'd expect, there's more than one face-off between the two white-haired demon hunters. But what are Dante's motives? Why did he kill Sanctus? And exactly why does Nero have a glowing demon arm in the first place?
Don't ask. Damn thing drives me crazy though.
Annoyingly, even after completion, there are still tons of unanswered questions. Still, the story, told through the gorgeous in-game cutscenes, won't win any Oscars, but is everything a Devil May Cry fan could want. The game plays in about 16 hours on the medium difficulty, but expect some rock-hard difficulties to follow if you're so inclined. There's tons of replay value too, including earning enough proud souls to unlock all of Dante's and Nero's abilities and combos, and beating your level scores, which can be uploaded online. But what's really great about Devil May Cry 4 is that all of the hallmarks of this series have been wonderfully recreated, despite the fact that for the most part you'll be playing as someone other than Dante. You've got the most annoying hard rock soundtrack to listen to every time a demon starts on you. You've got Orb Collection to spend on items, and Proud Souls earned through completing missions to spend on upgrading Nero and Dante's weaponry, combos, and abilities. You've got one of the most incompetent cameras ever to grace a video game, gothic surroundings, a ridiculous plot, buxom women, and hammy voice acting.
So I'll cut to the chase.
And you've also got the classic Capcom action game combat, as seen throughout the Devil May Cry series. Most of the combos in the game involve differently timed presses of the same button combined with various control stick directions, but there's an addictive and totally rewarding nature to it all. Even after half an hour of carving through similar looking demons in a cathedral, using the same combo string over and over again, you'll still come back for more. Getting to a boss or a mini-boss demon and seeing what happens when you grapple them is what keeps Nero's combat interesting through the first playthrough. This is what the Devil May Cry games are all about. Over-the-top, brutal, Japanese-style violence, and we love it. Early on in the game, you'll get to fight a boss called Burial, a gigantic Balrog-type demon with a massive sword. Burial is your typical Devil May Cry boss, big, spectacular, and predictable. Once you've worked the pattern of his attacks and adjusted to the timing of the required dodges, you should be okay. Weaken him with repeated slashes and you'll be able to grapple him and initiate a special attack, hurling the giant demon into the air and then slamming him to the ground. It's amazing to look at and heart-thumping to experience firsthand. But although it's fun to use Nero's Devil Bringer and the spectacular special attacks it allows, it's no match for Dante's varied, quicker, more powerful attack style. When you eventually get to play as Dante, it's as if the game has been released from the shackles imposed by Nero's combat limitations. How much of a problem is this? Well, it wouldn't have been any problem at all if it weren't for Capcom's almost inexplicable decision to recycle Nero's missions and bosses for Dante to slug through too. This is somewhat of a letdown. After working your way through the game and finally getting the chance to give Dante a spin, you find that you had to do it against enemies and in the locales you've already seen. Dante himself feels fresh, everything else however doesn't. After this, you get to control Nero again for the game's home straight, where you have to fight the bosses all over again in a roll the dice snakes and ladders style puzzle. Once with Nero was cool, a second time with Dante was a drag, but a third time? This negativity is rather unfortunate, because in our view, the game's failings were totally avoidable and came across as largely lazy in game design. But that doesn't change the fact that the game is the best in the series since the first one, and graphically Devil May Cry 4 is a next-gen masterclass, effortlessly playing at 60 frames per second at all times. The characters are gorgeous, the environment's wonderfully detailed, and the boss is breathtakingly realised. It's super slick on both the Xbox 360 and the PS3. With a little more effort, Devil May Cry 4 could have been a genuine contender for 2008 Game of the Year. As it is, it's a brilliant, addictive hack-and-slash action game, which goes some way to bringing the series back to its initial luster. Capcom, though, has done nothing to make it more appealing for those who have passed the series in the past, and has been very brave with its decision to replace Dante with Nero, and, in many areas, has been extremely slack in terms of game design. But, on the whole, Devil May Cry 4 will leave fans with a smirk the great Demon Hunter himself would be proud of.